Hey, what's going on, life groups? Good to see you guys again. Good to be with you. We're still in our Road to the Cross series, and we're looking at the path Jesus took leading up to the cross as we anticipate Easter Sunday and the resurrection of Jesus. And I tell you what, man, this week we are in the Garden of Gethsemane. And the Garden of Gethsemane is one of the strangest and most brutal and hardest portions of Scripture if you really understand everything that's going on. The garden, I don't know if God just liked to be betrayed in gardens, because it happened in Genesis 1 where Adam and Eve betrayed the Lord in choosing sin, and here we see it in another garden. Jesus is betrayed by Judas, and the word Gethsemane, it means the crushing. It means a press. It's an oil press is what it means. It was an oil grove. It was kind of an orchard of olive oil trees, and they would go in there and they would press those olives and make olive oil is what they would do. And so that's what the name means, but we can see through the reading of the different accounts, and I really want your group to go through and find every account of this. It's in every one of the Gospels because it's that important. But in every account it's listed, and we can see Jesus goes through a ton of anguish. He's in so much stress. And the point I made in the sermon was that this was unusual for Jesus. We're used to seeing Jesus cast out demons. We're used to seeing Jesus be bold against Pharisees and call out people's sin and call out, religiosity, call out injustice. We're used to bold Jesus, who always has an answer to every problem. And here we see a Jesus that seems timid, a Jesus that seems afraid in his last moments, that is very stressed. Dare I even say, maybe appears to be weak. I mean, he's asking the Father if he would take this cup from him. He's asking if there's any other way. And he does this 3 separate times. He retreats in prayer and, seeking comfort from the Father. And I want you to ponder amongst yourself, why didn't God answer him? Why didn't God answer Jesus? Why didn't the Father respond in the way that maybe Jesus was looking for? Maybe Jesus wasn't looking for it. I think this was a perfect mix of the humanity of Jesus being seen as well as the divine, right? He was 100% divine, we know that, but he was also 100% man, and his humanity is really having a hard time here. But I think the main thing that Jesus was wrestling with in the garden was not the stress of what he was going to go through on the cross. What he was wrestling with was the stress of he was being abandoned by the Father for the first time in his life. I mean, he was feeling what it felt like to have the Father's face turned away from him. He becomes so stressed. Matthew says he's so stressed, it's almost like he's sorrowful unto death, is what he says. Luke records that he sweats drops of blood. We know that this is a medical condition that happens under extreme anguish and extreme stress, and we have to realize this is the Son of God. He had never been forsaken. He'd never been forsaken by the Father. He was in constant communion with him, and we see now that he is having to experience this. But what I still love is that he still chooses the cross. And why does he choose the cross? Because he does it for the joy set before him. That's what Hebrews tells us. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross. He already had the Father's approval. He already had all the power, all the glory, all the authority. What was Jesus lacking? What did he not have before the cross that he had after? What was that joy? Well, that joy was you and me. That joy was us. And he wanted us. And so what is our response to this? We should choose to accept Jesus' amazing love, and we should stand assured that Jesus went through Gethsemane so that we would never have to. I want you to think about that. He went through having the Father's presence taken away so that you and I would never have to. Some things I want you to talk about in your group today as you read these accounts. I want you to talk about Jesus here. I want you to talk about what strikes you about Jesus. What words would you use to describe Jesus here? Because this does not seem normal to Jesus. Why do you think he was so stressed? Do you think it was just the fact that he knew the cross was coming, that he knew this physical torment was coming? Or do you think there was a deeper spiritual meaning? Talk about that within your group. I want to know if you've ever had a moment of anguish or stress or fear in your life. Where did you go to in a time like that? What can we learn from Jesus in the garden? He went to his Father first, yes, but he also went to his friends. Now, he caught them sleeping on him, but he went to his friends as well. And why do you think that Jesus is upset with his disciples when they do succumb to sleep? Talk about all this in light of the sermon, and talk about, the greatest thing we can learn from the Garden of Gethsemane is that Jesus went to the cross willingly. He went willingly. He even told them when they came to arrest him that, man, he could have a legion of angels there in a moment. Nobody takes his life, but he willingly laid it down. Why did he do that? Because of you. The joy set before him, you and I. So talk about that amongst your group. I can't even say the word sometimes. Gethsemane is a humbling place. It's a place of crushing for Jesus. And it's a place that we should approach with much fear and much trembling and much humility, because we see Jesus really at his lowest point right here. So talk about it amongst your group, and then look forward to the coming chapters where we're going to get into the crucifixion and into the torment, into the heartache, but into the glorious resurrection and power that Jesus stepped into. So catch you next time, guys. God bless.